the PhatPhish Guitar Studio. I'm Dave, and in this video I'm just going to have a run through of my pedal board. I've been doing a lot of sort of tutorial videos recently about how to play stuff and music theory and whatnot, but I get asked questions quite regularly about pedals and particularly what order you want to put effects into. So I thought what I'd do in this video is just give you a run through of the pedal board that I've got down here. I've done a few pedal board videos in the past, but my board does change every so often, so this is kind of like the up-to-date, well, we're now early March 2018 pedal board tour. So because we're doing the pedal board tour, please excuse Skycam is kind of just creeping into the corner of the picture here, because it gives us a view down here of what's going on the board. And the guitar I'm going to be using today is my Thompson Custom. It's got a DiMarzio tone zone at the bridge and DiMarzio half at the neck, all going through the PV Valve King 50 combo. So this is the board down here. Starting up at top right here, we've got the Fame DCT200 power supply. Basically this is a multi-way power supply, so I've got one cord that goes into the mains, powers that, and then various cables coming out on 9 volts or 12 volts or whatever voltage my pedals need, and that provides power across the board. I have used like a daisy chain sort of cable before, where you have one mains adapter into the wall and then one cable with lots of outputs on it. That works provided that you're only asking for the amount of load or less than the power supply can actually deliver. You know, so if you've got something like a 1 amp mains adapter plugged into the wall, you've got like a couple of 100 milliamp pedals or 80 milliamp pedal, whatever. As long as that adds up to less than 1,000 milliamps, you're fine. It'll power it. The issue sometimes with the daisy chain type power supplies is that each individual power supply is not isolated, and you can get things like mains hum and earth hum and so on, little bits of noise in your signal, which isn't desirable. I never had a real problem with it, but I thought I'd take the opportunity. When I was building a pedal board one time, I thought, yeah, I'll get a proper dedicated power supply. I'll settle on the Fame DCT200. Probably not a particularly well-known brand, but it does the job, and plenty of outputs and lots of flexibility. I've done a separate review of it, and I'll post a link to that in the information section below, along with a few other links to sort of pedals that I've reviewed and things about pedal order and whatnot. Okay, so we've got the Fame Power DCT200 powering the whole board. The little thing next to it with all the cables, basically that's just a little thing I knocked together to make my cabling life a little bit easier. So basically what we've got is some plugs here that come into the pedal board side of things, and some plugs here that go off to the guitar side of things. So basically the guitar comes in, then into the pedal board, out of the pedal board and into the amp, and then I've got an effects loop, so the effects loop comes from the amp into the board through the pedals that are in the loop, out of the board and back onto the effects loop, return onto the amp. The layout of the pedals on the board is very intentional, in that the ones nearer the front are the ones that I'm more likely just to switch while I'm playing, so I want them to be easier to get to. The ones at the back are the ones that tend to be on all the time, or they get switched fairly infrequently, so I don't need to worry so much about how I'm reaching over other pedals, and I need to be very precise when I'm standing on those. Okay, where do we start? Let's start at the start of the signal chain, which is here. It's the TC Polytune. This is a really nice tuner. So it can tune all 6 strings at once, so it can show me what state my guitar's in, and by the looks of it here, slightly flat across the board. Pick an individual string and tune it up to pitch. So I'll do that with all the strings, get myself into tune. Nice tuner, this one. I like the fact it's nice and bright, really clear display, and tons of features on it. I'm just using it as the standard tuner here, but you can put it into like a strobe tuning mode if you want to get really precise, which is very good if you're trying to dial in intonation when you're setting your guitar up. You can put alternative tunings in, get it to do like the polytune mode for alternative tuning, so when you hit all 6 strings it knows what note each string's meant to be tuned to. It's got like a bass tuning and so on. Very, very flexible, and usual sort of TC build quality, and I'm a big fan of the TC electronic pedals. Okay, the signal then comes from the polytune into basically drive pedals. So the general rule of thumb with pedal order is your guitar goes into things like filters, sort of like wah-wah pedals or vibe pedals, compressors, things like that if you use them. Then into drive pedals, and then into the amplifier. So all the pedals I've got front of house, if you like, are drive pedals. Because I'm going to do things sort of slightly backwards, and I'm going to start off with a couple of pedals that I've got in the effects loop, sort of towards the end of the signal chain. Just because these are pedals I tend to have on all the time, they're a fairly sort of fundamental part of my sound. First of these is the Boss RV6 reverb pedal. I've done a separate review of this. It's a very well featured Boss pedal, and this is the sound basically without the reverb. Very dry. I have a little bit of hall reverb, and that just thickens the sound up, and I just think it sounds really nice. Another pedal that I have on all the time is this one here. It's the BBE Sonic Stomp. Call it a maximizer pedal. It's basically a pedal-based version of the BBE Sonic Maximizer, which is like a rack unit effect. It's quite a subtle thing. Basically, what it does is it plays around, I think, with the phase of some frequencies in your tone, and just basically makes the guitar sound better, a little bit more alive. The best description I had of it was it's a bit like you think you've got a good sound, but then someone's removed a blanket from in front of the speakers and everything just kind of comes to life a little bit more. So that's something that's on all the time, and those two pedals are in the effects loop. So I'll leave those on because, like I said, they're basically part of my sound. As you can hear, I'm on the clean channel at the minute. Going into the front of the amp, we've got the full tone plimsoll, which is basically a fairly high gain overdrive pedal. I've got it set up with a sound like this. So that's quite a nice gritty distortion. Heading towards distortion territory, like I said, it's quite a high. As overdrive pedals go, it's in the higher gain sort of territory, but it's still got, I think, like a distinctly overdrive sound rather than heading into the really tight sort of distortion pedal category. Next to that, we've got the Blackstar LT Boost pedal. The LT Boost basically is a clean boost, so it's just taking the volume from the guitar and making it a little bit louder. So it's going into the clean channel at the minute, so as you can hear the clean channel, it sounds clean. Stand on the boost pedal. The amp itself starting to break up, we're just putting a little bit more signal into the preamp than the preamp can handle, and it's just starting to clip. And it sounds reasonably pleasing. There's a couple of active tone controls on there, so I can adjust the bass and treble to fatten the sound up a little bit. But if you want to get into sort of like an AC/DC type of sound, where you've got a clean amp just pushed into break up, the boost's quite useful for that. Obviously, you don't have to have the gain as extreme as that. You can get it where it just makes the signal louder without actually pushing the amp into overdrive. Just the way I tend to use it here. I've got the gain up. What is that about 2 o'clock? 2 o'clock sort of setting. I tend to use it more on the dirty channel of the amp though, so I'll talk a little bit about the dirty channel. Down the right hand side of the board here we've got the Boss FS6 dual foot switch. The Valve King amp supports a couple of foot switches. A couple of foot switch functions. One to do reverb on and off. It's got an onboard reverb which I don't use because I've got the foot pedal, and also I think it switches the whole effects loop in and out. I don't bother with that. The foot switch function I've got down here is basically channel switch and a bit of gain boost. So this is the clean channel. And pressing the first switch puts me onto the dirty channel on the amp. So this is a bit more sort of tighter, possibly more towards rock metal kind of drive sound than what you get off the full-tone plimsoll. The gain on the amp is set fairly low. The gain's only down to about number 2, so it's got a heck of a lot of gain on this amp. So a little bit of gain from the amp, and what I'll sometimes do is kick the plimsoll in on top of that. So I have a lot more gain there, but it's stacked. So the full tone plimsoll itself has actually got 2 gain stages in it, and then that's going into the dirty channel on the amp, which is like a 3rd gain stage. And sometimes having multiple stages of bits of gain gives you, certainly to my ears, gives you a better sound than just having one gain stage, with the gain racked right the way up. Okay, so that's the dirty channel on its own. The other foot switch option here puts me onto still on the dirty channel, but it actually boosts the gain up a little bit. So and if I really want to drive that, kick the boost pedal in as well. Really overdriven sound. The EQ on the pedal is thickening the sound up as well by adding a bit of bass. And if I want to go absolutely nuts, we can stick the plimsoll in there as well. Now ordinarily I would not play it with that much gain, but why I'm doing that there is to demonstrate this other pedal on the board, which it's been on all the time. It's the TC Sentry. That's a noise gate. And at the minute this is working, it's you can tell it's working because you can't hear anything. If I turn the pedal off, you can hear all of that noise. Press the noise gate, it just kills all the noise from the signal. When you're using a lot of gain, or if you're using something like a Strat that's got single coil pickups, they tend to pick up a bit of 50 cycle or 60 cycle hum from the mains. You just get that constant noise in your signal. The noise gate's good for just killing that. And if you want a bit more detail about how noise gates work, I have done a full review of the Sentry, so that's linked in the information section below as well. Let's turn a few things off and go back to actually no, talk about the way this is set up in front of the amp. So signal comes in from the guitar into the board, there into the tuner. Tuner goes into the Sentry, and then on the loop from the Sentry we'll go into the plimsoll, overdrive and the Blackstar LT boost, and then from there back into the loop return on the Sentry, and from the Sentry back to this plug here, which goes into the amp input and into the preamp. But as I say, I've got the foot switch down there for doing the channel controlling. Next, the signal comes out of the preamp on the effects loop send and into the board, and I said already talked about the reverb and sonic stomp that I've got in the effects loop. But in front of those in the effects loop, I've got the Boss CH1 Super Chorus, which I tend really just to use on the on the clean channel, just to give me a slightly wetter clean sound. So it's a reasonably subtle sound. So that's without. That's with. So it's something I use just now and again to add a little bit more character to a clean sound. And after the chorus pedal, we've got the TC Flashback. Big fan of the TC electronic flashback. I've played a few different delay pedals in my time, but this one is really good. It's quite fully featured. Lots of different delay models in there. You know, classic digital delay, classic tape delay, analog delay, lo-fi, slapback, reverse, all sorts of different things. But being a TC electronic pedal, it supports tone print, so you can build your own tone print on a computer or get a pre-built tone print from the tone print app, beam it into the pedal for your guitar's pickups, which is actually quite a cool thing to do. And you can kind of almost like reprogram the pedal to your own requirements. Here I'm using the dynamic delay, which is based on the TC 2290. If you're familiar with sort of like the rack-mounted gear that was very, very big years and years ago, TC 2290 was like the delay unit that everybody wanted to have in the rack, and basically now the brains of that have been shrunk down into the flashback pedal. Okay, so I've got the delay set up. It's more echoey really than anything else. So this is just the dry sound. So turn the reverb off so you can hear it better. So just the dry signal. Put the delay on. So I get a few repeats and it decays away. Now I mentioned that this is the dynamic delay setting. Just going to show you the difference between the dynamic delay and the regular model of the 2290. What the dynamic delay does is it doesn't give you so much of a delay effect whilst you're playing. It's only once you stop playing that the effect kind of comes so like into full effect. I'm just going to go on the dirty channel for this actually. So a bit of delay, so you can hear that note, then echo, 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 echo. If I'm just playing some lead guitar, so you can hear the delay at the end, but it's not quite so prevalent while I'm playing. Knock that onto this. It's basically the same set in the 2290 delay, but without the dynamic option. So you can hear we get the same sort of like fall away at the end, but that delay is happening all the time while I'm playing. So if I'm playing a reasonably fast run, and the delay signal's got a reasonable amount of volume to it, the delay signal, the echo, starts to swamp the lead line. So I prefer the dynamic, in that it lets the lead lines kind of come through unmolested. But then when silence happens and you want the space to be filled out with a delay signal, then the delay kind of gets lifted. So the dynamic delay setting is really, really useful. Okay, and the last pedal to talk about is this one down here on the bottom left of the board, and the Moore micro looper. It's basically a looping pedal, so it takes the signal, it comes in, records what I'm playing, then I can play it back. So it's useful for teaching if I want to demonstrate chord progression, then show how a scale works over the top of it, or even for songwriting, come up with a chord progression, then try and come up with a lead melody over the top of it. Just use the looper to play the chord progression for me. Nice and simple, straightforward to use. Not really much more to say about it, so I just play a chord progression. And it plays it back for me. And then once I've got that chord progression, so I'll just keep playing and stop it. start it again. I can play multiple layers over the top of it, and one press just wipes everything and start again. So it's really really useful little pedal to have on board. And that basically is it. So yeah, just to recap, the pedal order signal comes into the polytune, then on the loop from the Sentry we've got the overdrive and the boost pedal back into the amp, and then on the effects loop, chorus, flashback delay, reverb, sonic stomp, and then the looper. So basically whatever sound I want going into the looper I can record. So if I want to record like a dry signal with the reverb off, chorus off and whatever, play that into the looper. That's the last thing that leaves the board going into the amp, and then I put any other effects on, and they're not going to affect what's being recorded out of the looper because those effects are happening before the looper input. And that's really, I don't know if there's much more to say about it. Pedalboard is order we were talking about before, in terms of what you've got in front of the amp, your filters, and then your drive compressors and drive pedals and so on. This is a fairly classic setup in terms of what happens in the effects loop is modulation pedal. So I've got a chorus, I've had a phaser or a flanger, it will be in a similar sort of position. Then the delay, so generally your time-based effects are in the loop. Reverb and the sonic stomp happens at the end of things as well, because we want it to affect the entire signal. So yeah, drives and so on in front of the amp, modulation, time-based sort of effects on the loop. It's not a hard and fast rule though. You can experiment. I've seen people who get very good effects where they have something like a modulation pedal, like a flanger or a phaser, actually is the first thing into the chain going into distortion. Personally, I don't care for it, but it works for them, and they can get some really good effects. So the rules are just there as a guideline. You're not going to damage your pedals by plugging them in a different order. You might damage the quality of the sound, but you're not going to actually damage the hardware or anything. So if you want to experiment, you can. A lot of these pedals have been on my board for quite a long time. I'm not endorsed by any of these pedal manufacturers. They're not paying me to do reviews or anything of the gear. I tend to be one of these people that have fairly long-term relationships with gear. You'll recognise guitars on the wall here. You've been following me on YouTube or whatever for a while. I've had these guitars, a lot of these guitars I've had for a good number of years. Similarly with these pedals, the Moore looper is a fairly recent addition because I had a specific job. There is a looper on the TC Flashback, but it wasn't quite giving me what I wanted, so I had a need for a looping pedal. I went out and bought one. I'm not one of these people who just like buy pedals and swap them in and out just for the hell of it. It tends to be a specific task that I want a pedal for, and then it goes on the board and then generally tends to stay there for quite a long time. Now and again I'll either get bored of it or I'll find something better that comes along. So I've been through a few different delay pedals, a few different drive pedals as well. Only recently took this is the Digitech Bad Monkey. That was on the board for a very long time. Really good sort of Tube Screamer clone, but only so many outputs on power supply, only so much real estate on the board, and something had to go to make up space. Had the Plimsoll on there, and between the two of them, the Plimsoll was a better pedal than the Bad Monkey. But like I say, it's pedals. That pedal was on the board for quite a long time. I tend to get things and stick with them. The board itself, incidentally, was something I actually built it myself. I looked at a few sort of off-the-shelf ones, but I thought, just for the heck of it, I'll get myself down to the DIY store, buy some timber, a few screws, glue, paint, and whatnot, and actually build the board myself. And all the pedals are fixed in place with some pedalboard tape, which I'll also put a link to in the information section down there. Absolutely brilliant stuff. You don't need a lot of it. You might think, crikey, that's really expensive for what looks like glorified Velcro tape. It's much stronger than Velcro tape. It's meant for fixing pedals to the board. To give you an idea of how strong it is, let's pick a pedal. Let's pick the chorus pedal. I can lift the entire board, and there's two pieces of pedalboard tape underneath that pedal, probably UK postage stamp size, if not smaller. It's incredibly grippy stuff, so you don't actually need a lot. and it holds your pedals in place on the board, so you don't need to worry about kicking them, and while you're playing they're going to fall off. The pedalboard tape will hold them firmly in place. Okay, that's all for now. I hope you found that interesting. If you did, please click like, please subscribe down there. If you've got a suggestion for a future video or any questions you want to ask me about gear, music theory, guitar playing or whatever, if you go here, fill in the form, send your question in, I'll try and get around to answering it in a future video. You could leave comments down there. I mean, you're welcome to leave comments, but if you've got a specific question, it's probably better to ask it through that form, because YouTube doesn't always let me know when people leave comments on videos, so often questions go unseen. Okay, that's all for now. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in another video next time. Bye for now.